Wrexham's rise has always felt like a Hollywood script, but we've reached the most dangerous chapter yet. The honeymoon is over. We're deep in the trenches of the Championship, and that dream of a third consecutive promotion is currently balancing on a knife edge. A chaotic 5-3 victory over Sheffield United on Boxing Day was pure box office, but it exposed a defensive fragility that threatens to derail the entire project. The critics are circling, and Troy Deeney has been blunt about exactly where this squad is falling short. Now, a bombshell from CEO Michael Williamson suggests the January transfer window won't be the spending spree many expected. Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney face a defining choice. Today, we're dissecting the harsh reality behind the glamour. The Premier League dream is alive, but the next 4 weeks will determine if the Red Dragons have the fire to reach the promised land, or if they're about to burn out.
Let us start with the immediate context, the event that has triggered this entire conversation. Boxing Day at the racecourse ground. It is supposed to be a festive occasion, a celebration, and for the neutral viewer, or perhaps for the producers of the documentary, Wrexham vs Sheffield United was pure gold. A 5-3 victory, 8 goals in a single match. It sends the pulse racing, it gets the fans out of their seats, it is the kind of football that builds a global brand. But if you strip away the emotion and look at the mechanics of that performance, you begin to see why there is a sense of unease creeping into the backroom staff. Wrexham currently sits 13th in the Championship standings. On paper, for a newly promoted side, that is respectable. It is safe. But Wrexham does not do safe. The ambition here is stratospheric. After that chaotic victory against the Blades, the club is only 5 points adrift of the playoff places. The door to the Premier League is technically open. However, you cannot ignore the manner of that victory. Conceding 3 goals at home is a statistic that keeps managers awake at night. It suggests that while the sword is sharp, the shield is cracked. The team has finally ended a disappointing run of 5 matches without a win, a streak that threatened to drag them into the bottom half of the table. That victory against Sheffield United was a bandage, stopping the bleeding, but it did not heal the wound. We saw a team that can score at will, led by the towering presence of Kiefer Moore, but we also saw a team that can be cut open with terrifying ease. In the lower leagues, in the National League and League Two, you can simply outscore your opponents. You can win games 4-3 or 5-4 because your talent gap is so massive. But the Championship is a different beast. It is a league of attrition. It is a league where tactical discipline often trumps raw enthusiasm. The recent history of this season tells the story perfectly. Wrexham struggled initially, losing 3 of their opening 5 fixtures. It was a wake-up call. Then came that impressive 9-match unbeaten run, a period where we thought, okay, they have arrived. But that run was snapped by a 2-0 defeat at Hull in early December, followed by more dropped points. The inconsistency is the killer. One week they look like promotion contenders, the next they look like a team out of their depth. And this is where the warning from the experts becomes critical. The style of play that got them out of League One might be the very thing that keeps them stuck in the Championship. When Troy Deeney speaks, people tend to listen. He is not just a pundit, he is a veteran of the English game, a man who dragged Watford to the Premier League through sheer force of will. He knows exactly what is required to survive and thrive in this division, and his assessment of Wrexham's current situation is both a compliment and a scathing critique. Speaking recently on CBS Sports, Deeney did not hold back. He looked at the squad Ryan Reynolds has assembled and he drew a very clear line in the sand. On one side you have the attack. Deeney was full of praise for the forward line. He highlighted the trio of Kiefer Moore, Nathan Broadhead and Josh Windass. In his words, those 3 will get you enough goals to be there or thereabouts, and he is right. Kiefer Moore is a Premier League quality target man. He is a focal point, a battering ram who can hold up the ball and bring others into play. Broadhead and Windass provide the pace, the guile and the finishing ability. Offensively, Wrexham has a trident that most Championship clubs would kill for. We saw that against Sheffield United. When they click, they are unstoppable. But then Deeney pivoted to the uncomfortable truth. It is whether they can be better defensively, he said, and that is the crux of the issue. He pointed out the nature of the goals Wrexham is conceding. It's not just that they are letting in goals, it's the type of chances they are giving away. They are being carved open. Deeney emphasised that in League One and League Two, you can get away with defensive lapses. The strikers you are facing are not clinical enough to punish every mistake. But in the Championship, you get punished ruthlessly. We saw this painfully clearly against Swansea City just a week prior. A tight game, a derby atmosphere, decided by a costly late error from goalkeeper Arthur Okonkwo. A 2-1 loss that could have been a draw, or even a win if the defensive unit had remained watertight. These are the margins we are dealing with. The difference between a playoff spot and mid-table obscurity often comes down to 5 or 6 moments of concentration over a 46-game season. Deeney's warning is clear. You cannot simply rely on outscoring everyone. Eventually, you will meet a team that shuts down your attack, and if your defense cannot keep a clean sheet, you lose. It's simple mathematics.
However, the problem is not just the back four or the goalkeeper. Football is a system, and often a leaky defence is a symptom of a malfunctioning midfield. This is where Troy Deeney's analysis went deeper, and it is perhaps the most worrying part for Phil Parkinson. The former Watford ace questioned the energy levels in the middle of the park. He asks, can they get a bit more energy in midfield? This is a subtle but devastating critique. The Championship is often described as the most physically demanding league in the world. The pace is frantic. The pressing is relentless. You play Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, Tuesday. It is a grind that destroys legs and lungs. Wrexham's midfield has been the engine room of their rise, built on character and experience. But experience often comes with age, and age comes with a lack of dynamism. If your midfield cannot cover the ground, if they cannot track the runners, if they cannot close down the spaces, then your defenders are left exposed. When Deeney talks about energy, he is talking about the ability to transition. When Wrexham loses the ball, can they win it back instantly, or are they being bypassed? The 5 goals conceded against Sheffield United and Swansea suggest the latter. Teams are finding it too easy to play through the Wrexham lines. They are finding pockets of space in front of the back four that should not exist. This puts immense pressure on the centre-backs and the goalkeeper. Nigel Reo-Coker, another former Premier League midfielder, weighed in with a similar sentiment regarding consistency. He believes Wrexham must register wins more regularly to be regarded as genuine promotion candidates. You cannot have these fluctuations in performance. And consistency comes from control. You cannot control a game if you do not control the midfield. If Wrexham wants to push for the top 6, they need a midfield that can dominate physically, not just technically. They need legs. They need an engine that does not sputter after 60 minutes. And this leads us directly to the massive decision facing the owners in January.
The solution seems simple, doesn't it? Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney have the resources, so just go out in January and splash the cash on a new defence and a high-energy engine for the midfield. But the narrative from the boardroom has taken a sharp turn. After spending £33 million on 13 new signings this summer, Wrexham are hitting the buffers of financial fair play. You simply cannot spend indefinitely without the numbers catching up to you. Chief Executive Michael Williamson has signalled a significant shift in strategy, calling the winter window opportunistic. In football speak, that is code for we aren't spending big unless a miracle deal drops into our lap. It is a far cry from the aggressive recruitment we have seen in previous windows. The hierarchy seems to believe this squad should be good enough, or they are simply wary of overextending the club's sustainability. This creates a massive conflict. The pitch is screaming for a commanding centre-back and a championship-level holding midfielder, yet the CEO is preaching caution. Phil Parkinson might receive some funds, but will opportunistic signings, likely loans or players out of favour elsewhere, really be enough to drive Wrexham all the way to the Premier League?
This brings us to the precipice. Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney are not just owners, they are storytellers. They understand narrative arcs. They know that the story of Wrexham is built on defying the odds, but they are now facing the cold, hard business of elite sports management. The warning from Troy Deeney is not just noise, it is a tactical reality check. If they ignore the need for defensive reinforcement and midfield energy, the playoff dream will likely fade. The gap is only 5 points now, but in the Championship, that gap can become 15 points in the blink of an eye. The massive decision is this. Do they overrule the caution? Do they push the chips to the centre of the table one more time and fund a significant January splurge to fix the defence? Or do they trust the process, trust the opportunistic strategy, and hope that Phil Parkinson can coach this current group into a tighter, more disciplined unit? The risk of the first option is financial instability and a bloated squad. The risk of the second option is stagnation. Finishing mid-table in the Championship is a great achievement for a newly promoted side, but it is not the ending the documentary wants. It is not the ending the fans have been dreaming of. The pressure on Arthur Okonkwo to recover his form is immense. The pressure on the backline to stop the leaks is crushing. And the pressure on the recruitment team to find a diamond in the rough, a loan signing who can transform the midfield, is at an all-time high.
The roadmap is clear. The destination is the Premier League, but the engine is rattling and the defence is taking on water. Wrexham stand at a crossroads. The win over Sheffield United proved we have the firepower to hurt anyone, but it also showed we're far too easy to hit back. The message for Ryan Reynolds is simple. Bolster the back and energise the middle, or watch the playoff dream vanish. As January looms, the silence from the owners is deafening. Will we see another Hollywood twist, or has the reality of the Championship budget finally bitten the Red Dragons? The next month defines the season. Switching from a spend-to-win mentality to wait and see is a dangerous game in the most competitive league on earth. But at Wrexham, the script is never finished until the final whistle. This is Rodrigo signing off. Keep your eyes on the racecourse. The real drama is just beginning.